Hello everyone. You're listening to Finding a Why. Thank you so much for coming this evening and taking the time out. And thank you to all of those who are watching this on replay. Tonight, unfortunately, we do not have Frances Ackerman Snow with us, but she is rescheduled for next week due to unfortunate circumstances. So we're sending her our love and we hope that she does get well soon. So what is Finding the Why? Finding the Why is a podcast by artists Sarah Hardy and Kirstie Tebbs, hosted by Tebbs Gallery. And we created it as a way to support other artists, to cut through elitism, and to kind of like stop the intimidation in the early stages of careers. On the show, we tackle important issues that affect creatives in the way that they are making in the industry, and discuss news of the art world, do book reviews, fun art challenges, and bring on specialist guests. And yeah, so how has your week been?
Busy. It was busy, and I was having problems remembering exactly what I had done, because I think it has been one of those weeks where I've just kind of rolled from one activity to the other. But I have spent a part of my week in clinic, obviously kind of working at the sports clinic, and doing treatments there. So that's always, that is quite physical and mentally challenging sometimes. But it's good, and again, you're helping people, so that's cool. I also managed to squeeze in some strawberry picking at a local farm, which was a delight, because it's like one for me, one for the basket, one for me, one for the basket. And you kind of roll out. Probably explains why they charge you to pick strawberries these days. And apart from that, I've been working on my Snoopy submission. So I know you have also, haven't you? So
yes.
How's your week been?
Well, I was going to say not busy, but actually looking back on it, I've done quite a bit. So I've had a week off of my day job. I'm off sick due to an incident at work. I would like to say thank you to everyone who has sent me messages of kind words, because it's really shown me how supportive the arts community is. And everyone who speaks to me, I do hold them precious in my heart, because it's surprising how much you touch people, and I never realized how many people I've reached out to and who would take time out of the day to just wish me well. Other than that, I've been working on a Snoopy submission. So there's a dogs trail that's going to be happening in Cardiff. So me and Sarah have put in submissions of our artwork on the sculptures of Snoopy, see if we get picked. I've both done my practice as well as doing some witty ones, because they make me giggle anyway. And the Petri Dish project with the gallery deadline of submitting the artworks back to me has passed. So I just want to quickly take the time, if anyone has got their place in the Petri Dish project but hasn't sent me their artwork back, please do send me an email, because we still have time to rectify it. And then I've spent this afternoon going up and seeing Tina Culverhouse in her studio space. She's a fantastic experimental artist who is taking the idea of drawing into the 3D realm in a whole new light. She's incredibly talented. So I would urge everyone to make sure you check her out. And yeah, I think that's been my week, really. Sorting out projects, seeing people, and putting in submissions for different things.
So just as busy, really. Yeah.
Just as busy when you think about it. So what's been happening in the news? oh no, I'm pressing buttons. There we go.
Right one.
So our first story, working along the theme of it being the art week for kids, is how art is helping high-risk children in need of mental health support in the Jewish community. There has been a 65% increase in demands of children who are experiencing abuse, anxiety, mental health issues, suicidal tendencies, and neglect. It's been given additional funds to help support the community and these Jewish children, to help them learn, be happy, be confident, and find their own voice. And I think arts therapy is one of the things that can touch a person's heart and make them able to say things that they never would have been able to say without having that pen or pencil in front of them.
Yeah, art certainly does open you up in different ways. I think sometimes, you find it difficult to express in words just how you're feeling, or you sometimes don't even want to. But sometimes when you get going with art, with a paintbrush or with pencils or pens or whatever your medium is, it finds a way out, especially if you just keep going and going. It kind of, it almost oozes out sometimes. But yeah, it's certainly a key to kind of unlocking that deep-seated expression that is healthy for everybody, really. It's, I think perhaps talking has been, among certain communities, or kind of, I suppose you've got that gender stereotype as well, that men aren't meant to be the talkers and they just get on with things, and women are quite emotional. And sometimes, I mean, that it's just not the way, because it's not one size fits all. But when it comes down to that as well, not just with children, it's such an important part of life, expression and art, and the many forms of creativity, I think.
I think one of the most, I love looking at children's art, especially younger the child, the more amazing it is to see, because you are literally seeing the way that the mind works before conditioning, before we tell them this is what we do with it. They are feeling the materials, they are like experimenting with where they put it on. It's also visceral and hands-on. They're like, what does this feel like? What if I do this? What if I put that there? Oh, there's another color, let's put it. I'll pick this up, I'll stick it. And it's just so beautiful to see, and to see the actual end results is, it's mind-blowing, because that is, as Pablo Picasso said, it took him 10 years to be able to paint realistically, but it's took him his entire lifetime to be able to draw like a child, just because we have to undo all of this conditioning that we have.
Yeah, I think it's that it comes with expectation, doesn't it? As you grow up, you're meant to be mature and that can affect every single area of your life, but it can also kind of strap you in a little bit, if that makes sense, kind of emotionally and creatively, and it's kind of breaking down all those barriers again, and kind of learning what it is to play again, because as I say, it's healthy. But it's amazing how it can help people, and it has helped these children be happier and more confident, and finding their voice and their why, and also kind of opening doors to new ways of learning as well.
I completely agree. And it's so heartwarming to see that there is something so strong in the community for children to be able to overcome the issues that they might face in their home life or outside life. And people actually wanted to use the service, because a lot of the time we put on these services not knowing who will use it and who will want to. But to see that demand has increased over lockdown, that parents want to help their kids, or someone in their family wants to help them, and that they're seeking art to be able to do it, it's amazing to see.
Yeah, I think this charity that's running this program, it's part funding. So they kind of, I think it was something subsidized by about 40% by the charity, which is quite a chunk. And then either the school or the family will subsidize the rest. So yeah, it's not just a case of it's there and it has to be kind of say you've got low income families, it's not a case of that they're responsible for kind of finding the money to help their child, because sometimes it's it's just not doable, but that there are actually ways and means of getting these programs going successfully with people who don't have as much. So
I think that's a really good point. The idea that these charity bodies, they are finding ways to be able to bring it more into the community and trying to help with the costs, because cost shouldn't stand in the way of mental health ever. And unfortunately for some people it does, but by part funding it, it really takes that pressure off.
absolutely.
And then on to our next story.
Yeah, so this is about art with Indigenous prisoners, and this is a scheme that was started up in Australia by a guy called Kent Morris. He's actually been running art workshops since 2011, and he has the gallery The Torch. But he started this exhibition that's all the work that's been contributed to this project is by ex-convicts or people who are actually in prison right now. But the good thing about it is, I mean, you know, I say the good thing about it. One of the benefits of it is it's actually starting to help reconnect people with where they've come from and what they're about, and their history as well. So it's yeah, I think it's apparently been really, really successful. And one of the things about the exhibitions is as well, they will sell the work, and 100% of each piece goes back to the creator. So it's actually kind of, I suppose it's deconstructing that person's identity that they are just an offender or they are a criminal, but it's kind of giving them that new identity as well, that they're a creator, they're an artist. And there have been so many beautiful stories, you know, from this. I think one guy was saying, you know, obviously he'd been in prison for quite a while, and he'd kind of come out and he'd started this art career, and he said his daughter was so proud of him. And, you know, to kind of break down them barriers when you've been in such a position is amazing. So
yeah, I have to say this is such an uplifting story. In Australia there are more Indigenous prisoners than there are others, and rather than thinking they are thinking, how do we help this group of people to not be imprisoned, or how do we stop them from reoffending? And most of them would think re-education in prisons, or they would just give up on them. But now they're giving them a career. They're showing them, you can do this, you can express yourself, and you can make money from it, and your mental health will be much better for it. So it's amazing for a government to think art is a solution, and it's showing that art is a solution. It is helping Indigenous prisoners from reoffending. They are learning, their mental health is up, and they are reintegrating within society in a legal way. They're selling their artwork, they're getting money from it, they're being able to live, because some of the reasons that you go to prison is because you cannot afford to live. You have no money and there is no other choice for you. But there is this, and it just shows that there is that choice, and that there are people behind them supporting them and showing them through it.
Yeah, apparently this program is kind of one of a kind. Basically there are similar programs in the UK and also in the United States, in Michigan, I think, but not ones that deal specifically with Indigenous prisoners. So yeah, but it's kind of, yeah, sorry, go on.
So no, you carry on.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh well.
It's
Yeah,
like
it's good to see schemes like this, and being able to take on ex-convicts and think, I'm going to teach them something. They're going to have a skill and they're not going to be looked down upon. They're going to be an equal member of society, and we are just going to forget their past. And it's like you said, there are other schemes out there with the art, not necessarily for this, but even outside of the arts. In England at one point there were schemes of taking ex-convicts, and they made a self-employment business with loads and then turned it into an actual limited company where they went into people's houses and did loft conversions or house repairs. And all they hired were ex-convicts because they wanted to give them a chance and reintegrate them and show them the way to live and the way of being happy, and that people won't look down upon them just because of what their past is. So it's amazing to see that the Australian government is backing this, and I do hope to see it pushed more across the world because it's showing that it is working.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it's giving a new way ahead, and it's been shown to be really successful. I think there's only an 11% reoffending rate compared to other schemes, so it kind of is really, really effective. And I say it kind of gives people a new way ahead, and everybody creates change together because it's going out into the community, that everybody's kind of going forward together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that kind of co-creation happening.
It's so lovely to see. And this week as well is PTSD Awareness Week, which is an amazing time to be able to introduce you all to Thomas Hazago. He is an artist, a sculptor, and he had a very big mental breakdown, really, where he did end up having depression. There was the death of his abuser. He has PTSD, suicidal tendencies, all of which took him down a very bad path. But he recovered, and he put all of his pain and his suffering into his artwork by going through therapy, by drawing, by having journals, by going to groups and letting it all out, and almost allowing himself to forgive himself and forgive those that have done him wrong. His mental health is come tenfold, and he's managed to be able to get his career up and running, and just be able to get what he's gone through out there to show everyone that they're not alone, and that art can be used to be able to bring us out of the dark holes that we may find ourselves in.
I think one of the interesting things about Thomas is he kind of acknowledges that trauma, it's non-aging. If it's there, you need to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise it just kind of grows with you, and it sits deeply rooted. So he's actually gone out and found help. But I think, one of the things was it was like talking alone isn't always enough, because you can talk yourself in circles so much. But he's done the somatic work, he's done the talk therapy, and he got his sketchbook out, he started drawing his way through these experiences and kind of releasing in that way as well. And I don't know if you've ever worked in that way, where you've got your sketchbook out in a highly emotional state and kind of seen what's come from it, but it can be quite, it can be quite dark. But I think his work's really come to life. It's really changed his approach to his art and what he's been producing, which you come through these things in a completely changed person with a different approach, a different attitude, different mindset, which is, it's quite phenomenal, especially when you think how you feel when you're stuck in these really dark places.
I completely agree with that. He has such a beautiful take on what he has been through and how he's overcome it and putting it all into his artwork. He mainly does his artwork based on mythical creatures in bronze, wood, stone, steel, as well as paintings in prints, and they sell up to 1 million, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it just shows that even if you're in a bad place, you're here on earth for a reason, and you just have to find that reason. You have to go through it all to be able to find out what it is. And his, you can see, he was meant to carry on. He was meant to be successful and to spread the word of what he's been through and that it will be okay. I think he's incredibly strong, and he's just so inspiring, really, on a personal level, that he can get himself out of where he was and thrive, not just survive.
Mm. Yeah, apparently some of his kids helped him with some of the work as well, which is lovely, because obviously that creates, it grows that bond and that connection. But I think as well, what he was saying was that he's established kind of stronger boundaries, healthier boundaries for himself, and that kind of increased his feelings of joy and his ability to express, and just kind of breaking down them boundaries that kind of get, or them walls that get built up through sometimes really crappy experiences in life. So again, it's you can't really knock art, can you? You cannot knock art in society. When I think it's really important to hear stories like this, because most people that experience like crappy days or really experiences that they've changed their lives, and they felt for the worse at the time, but it just goes to show that you can come through them. Sometimes you need to think outside of the box by what means you employ to get yourself through them and to start to heal. But yeah, he's a leading light, really.
Yeah, he is. And it's so good to see that it's a man that is showing everyone his feelings, and that it's okay to not be okay. Because there has been that turning point from men have to be men to men are men, even with emotions, and men should show their emotions. There's nothing wrong with that, which I think he is doing amazingly at. Everyone should show their emotion. It doesn't matter what gender, non-gender, no matter what. We all have the emotions. We all have the bad days. We all have the good days, but we all should show it, and we should all talk about it, because if you don't talk, it's not going to get better.
Yeah, you talk about it and you let it go, and to heal. And yeah, there's too many people locked up emotionally.
It's so true. So we're going into talking a little bit about ourselves now, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, as we say, unfortunately Frances couldn't join us today because she's been quite sick, which we're so sad about, and we wish her all the best, and we look forward to having her on soon when we can reschedule. But for now, we're going to give you our experiences of mental health and using kind of the various means to cope with it, and yeah, maybe let you know some tactics that we've picked up along the way that have helped us. And hopefully, if you have any at all too, then please feel free to share, because we're all here to learn from each other, and there's no right or wrong way to deal with something. It's just is what it is at the time. But yeah, so I don't know if you want to start, Kirstie.
Yeah, I'm happy to start. So a little bit of background around me. I've dealt with depression and anxiety for quite a long time. I've been through bereavement counselling. I've been through just regular adulting counselling, because some days just are quite hard and I need that to be able to talk to people. I've been fobbed off by many counsellors. I think one of the biggest ones that sticks with me is after 2 sessions, I was told that there are more important people to talk to, so the sessions won't carry on. But we won't talk about that sort of healthcare. So a lot of it I've had to figure out for myself how I'm going to get through it. I've had some very hard times, and I've been in some very dark places, and I still don't feel like I can talk to people about it, because of these counsellors that I have had where the healthcare has failed me. So I threw myself a lot into my art from an early age, because art was the one release where I could put everything into. I could then completely understand what I was feeling through colors and shapes and textures and let it all out. And I will always say that art saved me, because art did save me. Art was the thing that made me understand who I was, made me understand what I was meant to be and what my place in this world is. I still don't fully understand what it is, but I feel like there is this calling for me to help people, to be able to help guide people as well. Um, I think one of my biggest strengths is that I suck in information and I hold it there. So when people suddenly don't know how to do something, I will have I have an answer straight away, because from one of the many vaults in my mind, I've managed to pluck out this obscure fact that I heard years ago and have still held on to. So yeah, so I went on to do my BA, and I'm going to be finishing off my MA in fine art. And I opened up a art gallery, which is currently online, but we are searching for a physical space in London. And I wanted it to be a communal space where we all support each other, because the art world is very grueling on your mental health. It can be very elitist. You can be bullied and belittled and feel worthless, and you have to deal with rejection. And that was something that I found really, really hard to deal with. It used to set off my anxiety and depression really, really hard, to a point where I would be bedbound for a couple of days, just because I got the no, or I didn't get selected, or I found it really, really hard to navigate and get the confidence to be able to network. And I still have them days, but I am a lot better for myself, because I'm reminding myself that I am qualified, I know what I am doing, and I'm a lovely person. So if I go network, they will love me. Or that's what I tell myself anyway. And it's so grueling, because I've been asked to come and meet people and curators, because oh my goodness, they love what I'm doing, to find out that they actually had no clue what I was doing. They were really just coming there, making me come there to mark their territory, to try and push me out of the scene being a new business, and belittle me, scare me, and use all these tactics to make me stop what I'm doing. And I have fought back from that, because I go, no, who are they to tell me that I can't do what I want to do? I've always wanted to be able to have a gallery. I've always wanted to be able to help people. And I've always wanted to create a space where people can just come and make art and enjoy it and listen to other people's stories, where they come from, what they're doing. And no one's going to stop me with that. And it's changing my mentality completely, from negative, that people won't like this, or I might make myself look like a fool, or I can't do this, to I'm going to do it, and I'm going to smash it, and I'm going to do fantastic. And with that mindset, I very quickly become people's biggest fans. I make a new connection, and I'm like straight on there going, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, you could do this. Don't doubt yourself, because everyone needs that positive voice, because we very rarely find it in ourselves. Um, so so that's my main way of overcoming my mental health, is through changing my outlook, making things positive. If I need to, I get out my sketchbook and I start drawing, and I start getting my feelings all out and refreshing my mind, so that I'm ready to go and ready to do what I need to do. And that's my story of my mental health. A lot of my actual artwork that I showcase does not show my mental health at all. It's all very personal to me, because I don't like dwelling on negative thoughts. I don't like dwelling on my mental health. I know that's really bad to do, but art is the thing that I can get it all out, reevaluate, and make myself feel a little bit better, and make myself feel free and the weight lifted, so that I don't I can just get on with anything, and I'm a lot happier for it. And I can't wait to see what my future holds. Keeping these into practice, keeping it all in perspective, and just keep on going really, and keep being people's biggest fans, because I love art. I love seeing everyone's art and how they make it, and I just feel I fill my life with other people's artwork, just because they hold a whole entire story and a history and memories, and it's just so beautiful to see.
I have to say, just for the record, Kirstie is one of the most positive people I've ever met. And she is just absolutely amazing. She is always smiling, and she always has something positive to say. And I feel so blessed to be working with her now. It's just like, there was a reason we were meant to meet, you know. We're doing with this podcast and trying to be able to help other people with it as well. You can totally see that's kind of part of your calling. I'm sure there are bigger and, you know, much, it's going to grow, you know, but it can't not with such energy behind it.
Exactly. Thank you. And it's like, I really like to tell people that it doesn't matter if they feel stuck or if they feel a lot down on themselves with their career or with art, because things will get better. It's not looking at the short game, what's happening right now. It's looking at the long game and what you're going to do for yourself. And if you get positive people behind you, people who are going to bring you up, then you're going to be formidable and you're not going to stop. You need to get rid of the negative people, get rid of your negative thoughts. A lot easier said than actually done, but it's one of the best ways to go. Just keep positivity in your life and send out positive vibes, and it will always come back to you.
Absolutely, it can't not. So yeah. So my story is, it's complicated. I lost a lot of people to various forms of cancer when I was younger, in quite quick succession. And then I was diagnosed, and there were a lot of strange dynamics with relationships within family and stuff when I was growing up. So I guess being a thinker, I took it all on board and didn't really know how to process it, but knew I loved art. And art's been something that hasn't necessarily always been consistent in my life, but it's something that I've always gone back to. Now, I kind of found my way into physical exercise. So I start running. That gave me a lot of confidence, finding I could actually run, you know, at a decent enough level. But I also got interested in the body and how it worked and how to maintain better health without having to just, I suppose it was prevention rather than cure. So basically my education, although when I was younger, was majorly disrupted by the illness and, you know, various other things. I studied a degree in sports science, and that was aside from the art. And then I also went down the holistic spectrum and looked at various other modalities of kind of, well, you know, keeping yourself well. And I suppose amidst that, yeah, I had, you know, like really, really bleak, horrible times. And then bleak, horrible times can perpetuate if you let them. And sometimes they do more so than others. And it's just trying to find the formula that works for you. As I say, it's not hard and fast rule, one size fits all by any stretch, because we all have very different experiences. We've all grown up in different ways. Yes, we've got society and that kind of conditioning, but kind of there are, you know, it's not just black and white. But there is so much more than you think that you can take on board to try and help yourself. And I suppose I regard myself as a work in progress. You know, not every day is brilliant, but not every day is the worst by far. I work with a refugee facility in Uganda, and my life is 1,000 miles or, you know, 1,000 times better than what they've come through, because I think we might get Jean-Pierre on here to speak about the facility at some point, but kind of, you know, when you're going through something like that on a daily basis, and you're obviously fleeing for your life, that is not something that, you know, either of us thankfully have had to deal with. But that said, experiences are very relative, and the grief of loss, and the pain and not feeling worthy, they are very real to the individual, and you cannot knock that. The step is to try and find ways of dealing with this and to raise your emotional state, and to start tackling them deep-seated feelings. It's not your fault at the end of the day. It is what it is. But I suppose in becoming aware of that, we have a responsibility to at least give ourselves the chance of living the best possible life that we can. So as I said, art, it's come and gone. I used to like sit in my hospital bed with my sketchbook and my pan of watercolors and do that. I used to do glass painting. I used to sew. I think I used to knit at one point. I don't so much anymore because my last attempt at knitting went so badly wrong. I think I knitted the needles together so tightly that it was just like, no, I'm gonna have to cut all this off. But yeah, anything, absolutely anything creative, even cooking, I've done. I think I put off the idea of being an artist for so long because I didn't have the confidence, and I didn't feel like I was good enough or worthy or like I could do anything with the career because there were so many people out there who were better than me. Now, for a start, that's not really an attitude to go into it with, because no matter what you do, there is always going to be somebody who's, whether it's running or, or weightlifting, stronger, fitter, more skilled, more talented, has better foresight, more intuition, or there is always going to be somebody out there, but you are unique. And that is the strength that you play to. You are absolutely unique. You are you, and nobody else can do that quite as well as you. So whatever goes on, you've got to remember that, whatever you're dealing with, and you do have the ability to get through it. It's just kind of taking the moment for what it is, and it is just a moment. A moment is going to pass so quickly, and then you're on to the next, and you have that opportunity to make the next moment better. Now, kind of, I'm not going to speak too much about, the ways in which art's helped me, because it's helped me exponentially, to be fair, and I'm still making my way through my art journey, and trying to kind of put the nuts and bolts in place to kind of make this career stable. But as I say, I'm also a therapist, so I've spoken to a lot of people about various health conditions, and emotional conditions as well, and very often they go hand in hand. Depression, anxiety can lead on to so much just because of the way the body responds to it. And if you're constantly in a state of high anxiety and the levels of cortisol that are running around you, it leads to inflammation, and inflammation invariably is kind of the first stages of disease. So if you can control that and then kind of look through your life at the different things that you can do to help yourself into a better place, then that is, it's a great defining moment, because as I say, you find so much more than that bleak moment. You actually start to find practical steps that you can implement. So one of the great things I found, especially as being a doer, I like to be doing, I like to be busy. I like to know that I am achieving everything that I can, but you can't. And I think we're very similar in this. We get impatient. We want it now. We want everything now. But that's not practical. And sometimes when you're going into something at 100 miles an hour, you start to hit a wall, you start to trip, and it's about allowing yourself time to rest and giving yourself that time out, to just go, okay, you know what, I'm going to switch off my phone, I'm going to put my stuff away, although some people have problems getting the stuff out in the first place, but sometimes you need to put it away, walk away from it. It's like being in the middle of a painting and hitting that, I'm not sure where I need to go with this. So the best tactic I've found is to put it away for a while, just walk away from it. It can't be helped. We're all human. We all have our limits. So get outside, go and do some exercise. Exercise I have found is invaluable for kind of as a mood leveler, but I use it in balance these days. So rather than over exercising, I do a bit of exercise, and then I do some creativity. And it's like and I do yoga as well. So you've got that balance of spirituality, you're moving the body, because the body wasn't meant to just sit in one position for so long in front of a computer. And then, you know, you get your lungs going and you get your blood pumping. And yeah, it kind of, I found that really useful combination. It's come with getting a bit older and kind of starting to tune it more into my body, and kind of finding what ratio works for me. But you know, it could be something that anybody else wants to try. Look at your diet and your nutrition. I know kind of there are certain foods that are fast and easy, but there are also really healthy foods that are fast and easy, and invariably they're very, very colorful. If you've got a plate full of color, you're going to smile at it, you know. That packet of crisps may temporarily taste good, but you're going to feel a bit nah afterwards. So fill your plate full of color, fresh color. You know, there's fruit and vegetables. I just can't get enough down my neck. Also make sure you're hydrating properly, and getting enough daylight. I think, you know, I know a lot of people who suffer with kind of seasonal affective disorder. And it's a case of sometimes you have to make the most of what little daylight we have. And even if you're feeling a bit pants, if you go out for a walk or a run or whatever, by the time you get back, you are going to feel so much better than if you just sat there under your duvet. And, you know, it's kind of this, as far as we know, we have one life, and we have to use it to the best of our ability to achieve what we need to achieve, and also to get, I suppose we all have purposes, and we're not going to do it under a duvet, sadly. Yes, take time out, sleep, snooze, cat nap, whatever. I'm not adverse to that. We need that as well, but we also need to be doing, I think, to get anywhere. But with regards to advice on therapies as well, you know, I've done the whole talking therapy stuff. I've bored myself rigid listening to myself. There's only so many times you can talk through things. And yes, it's important to talk, but it's and to process things as well. But I think people who suffer depression tend to over process as well. And they're kind of, I'm guilty of it. You think about it, and then you think about it again, and then you think about it a different way, and it almost becomes a bit of a cha-cha or something. I don't know, but yeah, you kind of need to find ways of dealing with them emotions rather than just sitting processing them. So yeah, aromatherapy, reflexology has proved to be very successful with some of my clients. Bowen is amazing because it works on the fascia, and by kind of, you know, by adjusting the fascial tension, very often you're affecting everything underlying, so the muscles, the bones, ligaments, so, you know, the circulation, lymphatics, and with that release of everything else, you can almost have this huge emotional release as well. The amount of people I've had crying at the end of a session. But it just goes to show, you know, sometimes you don't even know what's locked up in there. You choose to forget it. You pack it back at the back of your mind, and you just kind of think, you can stay there. I'm not going to deal with you, therefore you don't exist. And yeah, sometimes you have to be a bit like that, but you can't just, if there's something gnawing away, it's gnawing away, and it's only, it kind of hinders you, it holds you back. So the best way forward is to try and find what works for you. Go through, you know, there, as I say, there are so many different modalities for dealing with anxiety and depression, but you will find once you start to deal with the emotional side of things that your physical being will be so much better as well. And of course, there's all this kind of research now into gut health as well, which is another tactic that I've started taking. So brewing my own kombucha, kefir, sauerkraut, anything that I can get my hands on, I will ferment. But you know, if you can make yourself better and happy from the inside out, it just goes to show everything that we need to be happy is within us, and we can radiate that outwards. And yeah, learning to deal with ourselves, knowing ourselves, and kind of knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, but acknowledging your strengths. Don't just brush over them and go, well, yeah, I'm okay at that. No, own it. You know, it's so important to own your strengths. Be aware of your weaknesses, and, you know, take time out to kind of go, right, I'm going to work on this today, and I'm going to improve. Say if you're impatient, work on your patience. Do meditation. Meditation is so good for patience, because you've just got to zone out. And yeah, them thoughts might drift through your mind, but that's the whole point of meditation, is to acknowledge them thoughts, let them drift, just don't hang on to them. And it's like, you know, everything that we're kind of over processing with depression and anxiety, let it drift through your mind, don't hang on to it, just like let it go in one ear out the other. That's kind of the best way. And just, yeah, try to not hang on to things, I guess. I think maybe I've talked enough.
I think there's phenomenal advice that you're giving everyone, and I love what you say, that you consider yourself as a work in progress. You know, I'm going to adopt that. I'm going to call myself a work in progress.
The day we die, really, you know, it's just one of those things.
When do I become a final outcome?
We'll not think about that yet. No. Not yet.
Dear. No, you did some absolutely wonderful advice for people there, as well as being on the as art as being able to help you, everything else that affects you as well. And I have to say, one of my most happiest times is when I'm in my greenhouse with all my colourful vegetables and fruits and flowers, and colours do make you happier. And I found that from going from everything was black and white and grey and everything in between those tones to a life where I'm literally surrounding myself with colourful highlighters and books and artwork, and everything is possible. It really is lifting up my spirits. So yeah, it's important to be able to get that outside perspective as well as the inside and creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people don't, I'd suggest having a dog or a cat around as well.
Yeah.
they definitely make life better. Animals do, they're just, yeah.
You get yourself something cuddly. And
or a soft toy at the very least.
Where have I put it? I would also suggest, if a lot of your mental health comes from how you are with your artwork and your art career, to get this book. It's called Art and Fear. It's by David Bales and Ted Orland. Phenomenal book. It's so easy to read. It's not one of those ones where you have to sit down, be in the right mind frame, get through all the jargon and figure it out. It's so well put out. It goes, this is that, and just spin your mind frame. If you spin your mind frame, then you've changed your entire perspective, and you'll be so much more confident in yourself. And I'm going to say this paragraph that's from it. Art is made by ordinary people. Creatures having only virtues can hardly be imagined making art. It's difficult to picture the Virgin Mary painting landscapes or Batman throwing pots. The flawless creature wouldn't need to make art, and so ironically, the ideal artist is scarcely a theoretical figure at all. If art is made by ordinary people, then you'd have to allow the ideal artist would be an ordinary person too, with a whole usual mixed bag of traits and real human being processes. And that is so true. Most artists that you come across are ordinary people. They are people who want to talk and want to think and want to speak to you and will be completely honest with you. It's only really the 1% that have their noses in the air and you are below me. And this is why this book is so great, because it breaks down people into everyone is ordinary, everyone is going through the same sort of things, or everyone can relate to one another. There is no such thing as higher art because we are all the same. So create art and don't worry about what other people are doing, because nothing is original. You won't be reinventing the wheel, but you will be doing what you love, and you can make a successful career out of it. So show it one more time. Get it.
Just believe in yourself. I think, yeah, find ways, you know, you've got to address the dialogue in your own head. You've got to kind of be discerning about the advice you listen to and what other people are saying to you, and whether there is value in what they're saying, or whether that they may be jealous, or whether they may be just like downright selfish and spiteful. But kind of readdress the dialogue in your own head, because if at the back of your head you're going, I can't do this because I'm shit, then that will perpetuate. You've got to find a way of kind of going, no, actually I am worth this. I am more than capable. I have talent. I have these strengths, and I'm going to work with them. And from there, that, you know, that will also gather momentum like the wheel.
Yeah. And I think what this episode, although we're at the last minute, has shown everyone is that even though we're up here talking as artists with experience and have had somewhat success in the art field, we are ordinary. We go through mental health, but we are figuring ways to be able to get through it and to get over it. And we're both so positive towards each other, and we spare each other on with everything we do. And it is so important to get yourself, even if it's just one person who's going to be in your back. It doesn't matter if it's your dad, your mum, your sister, or it could be a friend, or it could be a stranger. That one little person always like going, yes, you can do this, and hold on to them forever, because they're the only people you need to listen to. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So after a very heavy episode of a rather light podcast, it's time for our 5-minute challenge. So those of you who have not watched before, we spin a pinwheel, handmade by yours truly. Hasn't broke for a couple of episodes, so fingers crossed we are on a winning run. So we'll spin it. It will come up with an activity. We will get our sketch pads out, paper. This week we're doing pastels. So I found my soft pastels. And if you guys at home watching it live or on repeat who are joining in with the activity, send us your images, tag us in them, bombard us with them. We want to see what you have created, and we will share it. We love art, even if it's just awful. We love it. All right. So yeah, it's working this week. There we go. Oh no, that was the one we dreaded all week, so we're gonna spin again. Okay, we've got a single line.
Single line.
Yeah, we landed on with feet, but I'm like, nope.
So we're not doing it with feet. No. Okay. Any particular theme?
So we've done lizards, we've done rhinos. What themes could we do? I think we should do clowns.
Clowns with a single line.
With a single line. All right.
Any particular color preference here?
I've got black, white, and grey.
Oh well, I'm gonna go orange just because.
Yeah, orange is a happy color.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So Sarah's got the music. We probably won't be talking much for the next 2 minutes. We'll just be giggling our heads off. Please do join in at home. And in about 2 minutes, we'll reconvene and show you what we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we have Katie Tunstall, Everything Has Its Shape, which I think is actually quite apt for today.
Yes.
There you go.
to the death and I don't know. I'm sitting ringside and in the middle. How can I be bold? Something to never say.
Looking quite evil here.
I have named him.
I'm actually really surprised at how far I can stretch one line.
I've decided I'm going to create a cartoon show with this clown. It will terrify kids. It'll belong in like the 1960s.
Yeah, I think this might be similar actually. I'm just wondering where to finish the line. No, maybe I'll finish that.
Well, I'll be getting my can of hairspray out later and probably choke with all of it to get it all to stick, but
I should have signed it really, but never mind. Would you like to go first?
And then I've got myself a new sketchbook. Well, my partner treated me to it, so thank you. So we could keep it all in one place. It's rather large. I might have to get up so it doesn't disappear. There we go. There's Sergio.
Oh, fab. I haven't got a name for mine. I'll have to christen them later. That's fab.
I love the thing with Zoom. It's like an invisibility cloak. So we'll post photos of it onto our Instagram. We do have 2 weeks worth of catching up in this week to show you all. But we will be pushing it all out this week. So get ready for the spam. What have you created?
So hang on. Dust. Oh goodness, I need a name. No, I'll name him later.
Okay.
So,
if anyone sees it, see if you can come up with a name.
Bit mental.
I love the eyes. Oh my goodness.
It looks like he's up to no good. Like really mentally. Kind of.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like that. Maybe he could be an Oscar.
Could be, yeah. You could call him Oscar.
That's a no.
Any name suggestions, please feel free to fire them away.
Oh dear. On that note, thank you so much to everyone coming this evening and for all of you watching on replay. Next week, we will be having the fantastic Frances joining us once she is a little bit better. And we've had fun tonight, and even though it's a pretty heavy topic and quite hard to talk about, mental health is so important to talk. And we hope that what we've spoken about and how we deal with our own situations, you guys have found interesting and somewhat helpful. And I cannot stress the importance is art really will help you, as well as all the outside things. And if you are struggling, please seek help. There are all sorts of services and charities that you can speak to. In the UK, some of the biggest ones that you can talk to is Samaritans or Mind. And they even have helplines that you can just ring up if you're having a bad day. But yeah, so thank you so much to everyone coming tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. And if if anybody wants to reach out and they need further advice, or they think that we can kind of suggest anything, if you need a bit of motivation or a bit of encouragement, then we're always up for that too.
Yes, we love seeing artwork, and we love seeing if you've taken part in our challenges or anything we've been up to. If you need a little bit of positivity in your life, hit us up, because we are like big fans of artwork, and we will go, yeah, you could do this, come on. Because we are all a community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We all need it.
We do. So we'll see you all next week, and please keep well and keep safe, and let us know what you've been up to.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care. Bye. I'll see you soon.